Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Company Heroes 2 replay cast. And today it is a 1 vs 1 on Angoville. And up top we have our blue U.S. Forces player, Insane C++. And down south our red Wehrmacht player, Alastor. And it is Angoville, so we have our 2 victory points on the right side here, and 1 victory point on the left side. We have our fuel right above that one. And our fuel on the right side is between the 2 victory points. We have our munitions on the far right and far left side of the map. Rear echelon troops just moving out to the first territory point, and it looks like the engineers also moving out to their territory point on the left. So both sides going off to the left, and we'll meet each other soon. 2 riflemen being queued up for the U.S. forces. An MG42 just coming out, or a red Wehrmacht player, and a grenadier following that one. So sooner or later, we will have a confrontation very early on the left side here.
Listen up, fellas.
We have riflemen moving down to the territory point over here as well. So either way, both sides going off to the left. And we'll soon have this fuel point, capturing the fuel point before the Wehrmacht player. So that is a good thing for the U.S. forces to deny the Wehrmacht fuel as soon as possible. And we have our engineers taking the left territory point here right after the other one. Now the MG42 is going to set up and possibly cover this area, which will halt the rear echelon troops' advance. It looks like they're actually going over to the far left to take the munitions point, so he's going for a very early resource advantage. As you can see, the riflemen over here also capturing some points as well. Well, the MG42 has been set up, but the riflemen looks like they just barely got suppressed there, so that was very unfortunate for the U.S. forces. He almost got out of that arc of fire and now has to run away, risking too much losses to these engineers and grenadiers that were coming up on him. Rear echelon troops are going to take this munitions point, but I don't know for how long they'll be able to take it at the very least. Or at least away from the Wehrmacht, which will have to stand here and retake that. And now on the right side, we have riflemen taking the far right fuel point. So indeed, the U.S. force is going for a quick resource advantage. And the MG42 has been set up, but the rear echelon troops move back just a scotch, right out of the range of it. And now the engineers coming right up on them with those MP40 machine guns. And gonna have to get out of there. A little bit too much damage from those engineers, although the engineers did actually lose 1 out of that troop.
Gather round.
Rifleman, 2 stars. So he got a very lucky rifleman from that elite rifleman training. 2 stars on that rifleman, pretty good at 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. Grenadiers now on the left side, trying to defend this area from incoming riflemen here. Now, riflemen are going to have a little bit of a problem here. I need to get a little bit of cover first, and they do have the cover, and grenadiers cover less. They need to either move up to this fence line. Oh, I couldn't think of the word fence. And we have 3 riflemen now out for the U.S. forces, 2 grenadiers, and we have another MG42 on the way. And 2 riflemen moved down, flanking around all these troops. And we'll see how that works out for the U.S. forces. He does have that high veterancy rifleman in the front. And just a regular old goofy rifleman in the back. Now the MG42 and grenadiers are moving forward here, going to try and stop the U.S. forces advance right at their baseline. However, we have these 2 riflemen coming up from behind, which will cause some damage. And see if they can actually get to this MG42 and force it out of there. He may actually just have to retreat this out of here to prevent himself from losing that crew. Right side still uncontested, really. Just took the fuel point and then left for the most part in 1 territory point. Now the MG42 did have to run away. Grenadiers on the other side of this hay barrel, and they're shooting these riflemen in the back, so the riflemen are suffering losses here. Very low on health, so they're going to start to suffer losses very quickly here. Rear echelon troops now taking the territory point, and the veterancy riflemen taking the place of the other riflemen. Lost 4 of them. Gonna have to replace all those. Gonna cost him quite a bit to replace them. Now a lieutenant is on the map, moving off to the right side here. And also trying to take the fuel point, but only 2 in that squad. Gonna have to retreat those very soon. Not gonna last too long. MG42 has been set up in a pretty good position here. But suppressed this veteran rifleman, and it's gonna have to move back. Not going to be able to do too much there. Going to have to find another way around that area. Rear echelon troops now moving down, and we'll see where they want to move. Probably off to the right here, and maybe try and capture some territory on the right side. As really nobody is over here. It's very uncontested, very undefended. The 2 riflemen still trying to capture the fuel point. It's going quite slow, as there's only 2 in that squad there. And the MG42 is going to set up, and it looks like it's set up. Looks like they're barely in that line, but just a little bit too far out of the vision of that MG42. Riflemen, rear echelon troops rather, taking the territory point over here. And the lieutenant is also taking some victory points on the right side as well. So each side soon will have 1 victory point. Score so far 500 for the Wehrmacht. or 57 for the U.S. forces, just because they simply own this one for a little while now. Just 4 riflemen in this squad here, but the 2 veterans, see, and they're trying to take the munitions point away from the Wehrmacht here. Don't think they're going to be able to do it, but they might at least be able to neutralize it, which will force the Wehrmacht to have to go on there and retake it. M20 is trying to chase away this heavy machine gun here, but there are 2 machine guns now, so 2 machine guns firing on it at once. Going to have to chase it out of there, and going to take a little bit too much damage from that automatic fire. Grenadiers, Panzerfausting, hit it in their rear armor, did really good damage to it, half health in one shot there. 2 riflemen left in this munitions sector here, and they're gonna have to run away as soon as possible to save that squad. Rear echelon troops now taking the right side as well and do retreat, saving that squad. The 2 machine guns over here proving to be a little bit annoying for the U.S. forces. Just keeps getting suppressed every time. He actually decrewed that M20 crew and is now repairing it back up. Engineers now taking the right side victory point here, right in front of their base, and we have some rear echelon troops that moved, looked like they moved around this sector here, and are going to now take the right side munitions point. Left side point was left neutralized by the Wehrmacht. And now riflemen over here at the territory point, but right in front of a machine gun, and not going to last too long. Has to retreat out of there, was suppressed. M20 is now moving forward and going to try and get a flank on this MG42. And unfortunately for the Wehrmacht there, he was just picking it up. Actually, if he would have just left it there, he could have got some shots in on that M20. Lieutenant over here chasing away these engineers. And because of that, now going to be taking the territory points for himself.
Listen up, fellas.
Rear echelon troops did take that right side munitions point. Still, the left side munitions point neutral. So neither side owning that one. And the U.S. forces owning one of the munitions points, so has a resource advantage for sure, and owns both of the fuel points. So right now, the U.S. forces, with a pretty big resource advantage, takes a hit from that pack. Looks like it took it down to about half health in one shot there. A pretty good shot from that pack. 2 grenadiers in this squad. They are 1-star veterans, but not going to last too long with just that sliver of health there, about a quarter health, I'd say, against these incoming riflemen and the M20, which will be ready soon, as it is repaired back up. Rear echelon troops now taking the right side bottom victory point here, back from the Wehrmacht, so they will own 2 shortly here. We'll be taking the Wehrmacht score down by 2 per tick. Lieutenant and 2 riflemen here now moving forward and trying to push away the Wehrmacht here. There is a half-track now, so all the Wehrmacht is reinforcing from this half-track. You can see these 2 reinforcing, this MG also reinforcing, so the U.S. forces has a hard time in front of them. Need to get this rifleman out of here as soon as possible. Is pinned and cannot move. M20 now coming in to back up the situation here, but there's 2 pinned squads, and the lieutenant needs to run as well. Also retreating this rifleman over here, so all of the U.S. forces in retreat at the moment, so the left side will totally belong to the Wehrmacht should he capitalize on this opportunity and spread his forces out and get the fuel point and the munitions point, which would be very, very helpful to have. Trying to get that M20 scout car out of there as soon as possible. It is heavily damaged. Its engine is just about blown, but it is keeping pace against these grenadiers here and is able to fire on them. Took one of them out. However, the half-track is now trying to move up, but doesn't want to get up too far there, as it was starting to get shot by that machine gun emplacement. Now down here, we have rear echelon squads inside this house trying to defend this area from these engineers. And these engineers not going to be able to do too much against these rear echelon troops inside this house, considering it's 4 against 2.
Reinforcements in.
Now the half-track looks like it was going to be moving over to this house, but at the same time, the rear echelon troops already retreated. And that would have been very bad for them to be in there when that half-track moved over. Now Grenadiers moving over to the right side, going to try and take some of the territory back. And now the U.S. forces moving out. Once again, the M20 has been fully repaired, and we now have a 50 cal out on the map for the U.S. forces. And that half-track with that double flamethrower ability can actually fire at 2 troops at the same time. It can fire one way and another way at the same time. Rifleman and that lieutenant ran into the wrong place at the wrong time. There's already an MG42 set up. It is a 1-star MG42. Could put in those armor-piercing rounds and actually take out that M20 in a quick hurry. Riflemen now have flamethrowers. With that flamethrower ability from the rifle company commander. And now Grenadiers going to be taking back the southern victory point once again. Just take that back and lose it over and over here. Now the M20 is coming over here to defend this area. But these Grenadiers just going to whip out the ye old Panzerfaust. And that one actually dies with the Panzerfaust. And so another one just takes it over and launches. Damages the engine. You have to pull that back once again and repair it. And that just seems like the MO for this M20, just get damaged, go back, repair, get damaged, and now some trouble coming around the side here. Looks like he's going to lose this M20. That pack hit it pretty hard in the side. He G-crews it, so that crew is outside now. It has actually a bazooka, so it hit that half-track up pretty hard there, point blank, but no good, doesn't destroy it. And all these troops here reinforcing and healing back at base. And now trying to defend the victory point here from these grenadiers, and should be able to do so pretty easily. The vehicle crew in the rifleman here forcing away those grenadiers. Now going to take both of these territories back at once. And there's the ye old game lag. Seems like once a game I always get that just a like 2 or 3 second lag, and then it's fine for the rest of the game. Here comes the captain now into the field with its double bazookas. Should be able to take care of that half track in a quick hurry there. And riflemen now moving out. Looks like they're probably going to go around here, maybe try and take that munitions point or the fuel point. But not going to have too much luck at that fuel point, as all these forces are around here and can just easily pick up and pack house and move over here. Now that 50 cal's moving out. The lieutenant backing up just a little bit against that half track. Doesn't want any of that beef, as really don't want to stand in front of 2 flamethrowers. Loses the man in that lieutenant squad. Now here comes the captain and chasing away that half track. Got hit twice with those bazookas, and bazookas just a little bit underpowered compared to the Panzerschreck, but very easy to acquire for the U.S. forces. And rifleman needs to get out of there in a quick hurry. Down to 1 man in that squad, but it is a 2-star veteran, so it resisted damage just a little bit. Grenade goes off, takes out a few troops there, and now gonna have to run away. There's just too many machine guns on the left side here, and really what he's doing right now is just forcing these troops over here over and over, which causes the Wehrmacht to just be on the left side the entire time, and then that way he can own the right side. And when the Wehrmacht isn't really going to be bothering at the right side for some reason here. Now M5 is coming right at these grenadiers, and they have to get out of there in a quick hurry, as they're going to lose troops pretty quickly. The M5 very good at destroying troops. Although they could have used that Panzerfaust on it, it wouldn't have done too much to an M5. Takes a good few to destroy one. 50 cal is set up, and looks like these Panzer Grenadiers are going to be the first victims and going to run into the arc of fire here and start to get suppressed. However, we have some Grenadiers moving around the left side, could launch a rifle grenade at that, but already getting up and is in retreat. But having a problem picking it up and retreating there, kind of power glided it there, just picked it up. Now it is a floating in the air, a magic 50 cal. The floating kind. It's you know, a military secret. Now M5 is moving back, going to try and defend this area. Could take this M5 and flank right around this MG right here. That would be a pretty good bet. And now, so the troops are moving over to the left side at munitions point. Looks like we have some engineers over here, and they're going to try and meet them and stop them. But there's no way these engineers are going to stop this whole mess. So they're just going to have to get out of there. They've seen that and don't want any of that noise, so they bail. And now we have the Panzer Grenadiers, 2 Grenadier squads, and the MG42 along with the half-track all moving over the left side. So big danger for the U.S. forces here. See how they handle this force moving over. The MG42 did set up, but it was a little bit too preemptive and a little bit too far away. Could move that MG up probably to that little bush line there. It would be just fine. M5 is now moving down the left side of the map here. Could meet this half-track and take that out. But it's going to take a few shots from that M5. The M5 is pretty underpowered in terms of destroying vehicles, but Steady does it, and the half-track has to bail out of there now. The Puma is now attacking the M5. However, getting hit in the back armor and is now stunned from that M5. So it actually took big damage from that M5, and looks like it may have gotten hit by the bazooka from the M20 vehicle crew there. Now bringing up the pack and going to try and hit that M5, but there's so much chaos, there's so much smoke around, you can barely tell what's even going on here. Troops are just leaving and running away. Troops are getting destroyed. MGs are set up and forcing all these Americans out of here. But again, they still own the right side. So that's a problem for the Wehrmacht. So far, 410 to 442. And now the U.S. forces in total retreat here, except for this trusty 50 cal. And going to defend the area and stop any troop movement up this way. And the Puma is actually pretty injured, and the half-track looks like it was actually destroyed. There's the burning wreckage of the half-track. No longer can reinforce those troops with that half-track, so that's sort of a loss for the Wehrmacht, as that half-track was very convenient to have reinforcements all the way up here instead of having to run all the way back to base. 50 cal firing at the pack. Gonna have to pick that up and start walking that pack gun out of there. which will be a little difficult as the pack gun weighs quite a bit. MG42 also firing at the 50 cal here. So both sides just blasting at each other. And now we have a big group of Americans moving in. We have the lieutenant and the captain and 2 riflemen and the M20 vehicle crew now moving in. It is a 3-star captain, so maybe it's an over-lieutenant. Perhaps it's a first lieutenant there. And the lieutenant instantly gets pinned. Not much luck there. And could actually use the captain's ability to pick that lieutenant up and have him sent back to the captain. But that is rarely used in Company Heroes. People just rarely use that. You can use the on me, and he will actually rally back to the captain, even if he's pinned. So, could use that ability, but again, very rarely used. You very ever rarely notice it being used. MG42 gonna have to pick up and run away. The half track, or the pack rather, was G Crew, very good. And now the U.S. forces moving into the area in a strong manner. Looks like the Puma got hit by an anti-tank rifle grenade and now damaged the engine. He's gonna have to repair that back up now, but luckily there's some engineers right there conveniently. Now the Wehrmacht taking over to some of the right side. Finally, Grenadiers took the victory point, now taking the fuel point. Now left side is going to be taken by the U.S. forces, taking the fuel point now, could spread out some troops a little bit to take that munitions point, repairing up that M5 Stuart with some rear echelon troops, not even bothering to take the crew out. So that it can still fire now, rear echelon troops. Moving over to the left, but getting a little bit disrupted there by that M5. The really bad M5 driver just driving all over these troops. Look at all this chaos he's causing. Now get out of there, M5. Go back to boot camp. Fuel point being taken by the Grenadiers here and taken. So they will have that fuel point. They could come over here to the munitions point and also take that, which will give them a bit of an advantage. And get them back into the resource game. We have some Ostrupen out on the field and a very poor Ostrupen call in. 2 of them, both no veterancy, no LMGs. Very disappointing. I hate it when that happens. M20 vehicle crew and gonna have to retreat out of there. Way too much firepower on the machine gun. And multiple troops all firing at them. M5 Stuart being repaired back up by its crew. And gotta watch out, this Puma is coming. And it's, fortunately for them, it is staying right there. Now, on the right side, some of these troops are moving back to the right side here, putting a 50 cal inside of that house, and it looks like some troops are coming over here to take this victory point. Also taking back the fuel point with a major. And now the captain moving forward here. M5 gets hit by the Puma. Doesn't do too much damage there, but is in a little bit of trouble. Takes another hit. Now in pretty big trouble. About half health. Less than half health on that Puma. No, just a sliver of health. But the captain shows up and looks like it may have gotten a hit once in the frontal armor. Didn't do too much there. Captain gonna relaunch again. 2 terrible misses there. Those guys also have to go back to boot camp and train with that bazooka just a little bit. Gets hit with one more bazooka, only a sliver of health, and Captain's just going to have to back off a little bit. Is a 3-star, though, and so we'll have even more accuracy now. Rear echelon troops over here trying to battle it out with these Ostrupen. And only 3 in this squad, so I think the rear echelon troops are actually going to do it. Indeed, the Ostrupen, just not very good troops. Now moving over to the left side here. With these Panzer Grenadiers and Grenadiers, these are indeed going to chase away the rear echelon troops. Now the Major taking the bottom victory point here. But there was a Panzer IV command tank, and I'm surprised he didn't just burst through this wall and go right after this Major here. That would be big trouble for the Major. He'd have to retreat immediately. Rifleman trying to take this territory point. But here comes the Puma trying to run him over there and disrupt them. Alastor and MG also firing them on them at the same time. This rifleman squad was pinned. We're going to have to just pick up and get out of there. Now the M5 trying to battle it out here, but going to have to back that up. Just a little bit too much trouble for that M5 there. May lose that. Loses the M5. Big loss for the U.S. forces there, but now has a Sherman out on the field, so not a big deal. A very fine replacement for an M5. And going to hit this Puma in the side armor there. Takes a big hit and down to just about a quarter health. Perhaps a fifth of his health, and a miss there that would have taken that out. A very disappointing miss. Gonna have to back that Sherman out of there and repair that up. But however, the rifleman take it out with looks like an anti-tank rifle grenade, and got to get out of there. Only a small, tiny sliver of health, and loses a 3-star veteran with a flamethrower. Big loss for the U.S. forces there. But we have the command tank. It looks like the Puma was indeed destroyed by that anti-tank grenade. And the Major still just chilling over here, defending this area. And now the left side here going to be taken back by the Wehrmacht. owning the fuel point and soon to be the munitions point, but only owning one victory point. So it is just not enough to win the game. So far, 362 to 426. And now putting down some teller mines on the field just in hopes that that Sherman runs over those, which would be very bad news for that Sherman. 50 cal is inside this building here, but the Panzer IV is coming around, and that 50 cal no match for that Panzer IV command tank. And coming towards this Major as well. So the Major's got to watch out there. And is a 1-star veteran, 50 cal, and trying to get out of there as soon as possible, but took a shot in the face and destroys that 50 cal there. Should have tried and got out the other side. Should have clicked over here and then retreated. Sherman now moving forward here. MG42 rather is firing. Is a 3-star veteran. Ostrupen now moving in as well. The captain is totally pinned. Cut to this MG42 over this way. We have the M20 vehicle crew still alive. That trusty vehicle crew. 3-star veteran and chasing away that MG42 there. There's that Panzer IV now. Moving forward here, the command tank moved over to the left side, and the Sherman going to try and contest this Panzer IV, and should be able to take out the Panzer IV no problem, but it looks like it's getting hit by multiple sources here. The PaK-40 also hitting it directly in the frontal armor. Needs to get that out of there. It may actually stand to lose this Sherman if he pulls up any further. There he goes. He's just now backing off, and a PaK-40 has been taken by the U.S. forces earlier on, and is now being brought up to battle it out with that Panzer IV there, which really not going to be enough. A phosphorus barrage has been dropped here, preventing access to these troops here, but they can easily just go around. Not a big deal for them. Captain is sprinting around the map here and taking the territory points. And we have the rifleman taking the fuel point at the same time. So 2 points incoming for the U.S. forces, but at the same time, these Ostrupen here are taking some of the territory of their own. And the captain is moving forward. It's going to get inside this house here and start blasting away on these Ostrupen. They are 1-star, but still not very good troops. Without that LMG and without 3 stars, once they have 3 stars and an LMG, then they're pretty good. But otherwise, just a bit mediocre troops. And going to have to just get out of there. They could use the Panzerfaust. Indeed, going to use that Panzerfaust. Hit it right in the back armor. They're a pretty good hit. But didn't damage the engine, which is somewhat surprising, as there's a very high chance to damage the engine with rifle grenades and Panzerfaust, things like that. MG42 is set up right in front of this house here. The Major's just taking big heat. Major almost dead here. Got to watch out for that. He loses his Major. And that's sort of a big loss. 120 munitions to buy a Major. You can't really afford to lose those. And now another Sherman is out on the map for the U.S. forces here. This Sherman has been decrewed and is now being repaired by the M20 crew and the other vehicle crew as well. Panzer Grenadiers moving forward here, but not going to make it, as there's a Sherman and 2-star rifleman here to defend this area, so they're going to have to just run away. An MG42 is going to be set up here, but also going to have to run this away, as that Sherman's going to do too much damage to it. And the rifleman also in the back that could move forward and use the flamethrower on it, but there's a PaK-40, and it is hitting that Sherman. Going to have to move that Sherman just out of range of it, and it's going to bring that PaK-40 up and try and hit it again, but there's a flamethrower rifleman squad here forcing away this MG42. Didn't lose that MG42, so a pretty good escape there. Sherman backs up and destroys that wall. Good old wall destroying. And disrupted this vehicle crew a little bit while they were trying to take that victory point. Not a good thing. And MG42 is going up to this territory point here to try and take it clandestinely and secretly all right around the side there, and setting up just in case any troops come his way. Rifleman over on the left side running away from 2 Grenadiers and this Ostrupen here. A wise bet. And the left side belonging totally to the Americans, and the right side also belonging to the U.S. So the Wehrmacht losing very quickly, 260 to 426. Ostrupen moving forward. The lieutenant forcing it away. 3-star lieutenant with that BAR. Forces it away in a quick hurry there. And Ostrupen also getting chased away a little bit by these riflemen here. There's a 2-star rifleman against 2-star Ostrupen. Still really no match for the 2-star rifleman there. Sherman firing on these Grenadiers here, and looks like they may have got a good hit there. Looks like they took out a troop or 2 out of that squad in a second hit there, but misses those troops. Captain moving forward now as well. Riflemen moving forward against these Grenadiers here, and just need to flank right down on these Grenadiers and can do some big damage. However, there's a Puma over here in the PaK-40, so we've got to watch out for that. 2 Shermans moving forward at this Puma here, and kind of watch out, and loses that Puma. A fair loss for the Wehrmacht. Not a very expensive unit at Huma, very easy to get a couple of them out for very low cost. Loses one MG42 there and picks up this MG42 in hopes of not losing that as well. Panzer IV command tank is out on the field, and the Pak 40 actually hits it head on, and Alastor GG's, as he just couldn't take the rest of the map and was losing at such a quick rate and just didn't have too much. The U.S. forces just a little bit too overwhelming this time. 2 Shermans to his pretty much nothing. He just had this Panzer IV here, and it was currently under fire from this Pak, and I think the Pak was just about to fire again. And these 2 Shermans here could have flanked around and possibly destroyed it. He wouldn't have really had much to do. He could have backed up into his base, but there's really no defending it from these Shermans here. He did have a couple grenadiers, but he has no munitions to actually use a Panzerfaust. He would in 2 munitions, but 1 Panzerfaust against 2 Shermans, simply not enough, and he could have just driven right in the base and taken that Panzer IV command tank out. I think one of the follies of the Wehrmacht this game is he just really didn't go over to the right side at all. Not sure why. He basically just tried to defend the left side the entire time and freely let the U.S. forces go over to the right side and just take it. And once in a while he would send over 1 or 2 troops, but was easily thwarted by just bringing over a few troops himself and then bringing them back over to the left side. So I hope you guys enjoyed this game, and I will see you guys next time.